Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Shama Sundar, Radha Shama Sundar Radhe. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Nitai Gora Haribol, 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 Nitai Gora Haribol.
Parivajagacharya, Astatarasatasi, Simad is divine grace. Isi Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki. Nitya Lila Vishnu Om Paramahamsa. Parivajagacharya, Astatarasatasi, Simad is divine grace. Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki. Shri Shri Radha Shama Sundara ki. Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki. Shri Gora Hari ki. Samveda Bhakta Vrinda ki. Jai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Bhalabha Girivada Dhari Girivada Gopi Jana Bhalabha Girivada Dhari Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachadi Jamunatira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hadi Madhava Kunjabi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hadi Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivada Dhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dadi Jasodanandana Brajachandranjana Jasodanandana Brajachandranjana Jamunatiravana Yadi Jamunatiravana Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hadi Jayo Vishnupad Paramahamsa Hari Vidagacharya Astatara Satasi Simadis Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Anand. Some people had to leave and some people got exhausted maybe. Well, I picked this verse with a kind of cute thought in mind. We had yesterday, what we're traditionally calling it our 64 round day, and we're following in the line of Lord Brahma, who had much longer than a 64 round day. 100 celestial years. He had a long japa retreat. Mantra is the process of his receiving all of what he received was the same mantras that are Gayatri mantras that we chant. He received. And he chanted for 100 celestial years, which is a long time. There's a lot of zeros in that number. A little background, and I wanted to cover this verse 31. Many of you know there are 4 verses that are said to have been the Chatur Shloki, the 4 essential verses of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. One can say that the rest of the Srimad Bhagavatam rests upon those 4. And it starts with text 33. So this is before 33, it's 31. A little chronological background. What's the problem? Someone's not able to hear. Okay. The Canto 2, Chapter 9, process of creation beginning of this chapter, Brahma has appeared in a few verses that just describe basically somebody again, the nature of the absolute truth of things. And it starts with, pretty much as the painting shows, Brahma is born. He has appeared on the top of a lotus, and he has already this creative impetus. He somehow has this understanding that he's supposed to build the universe. It doesn't say how he has that understanding. Super Soul gave him that understanding. He's got to build the universe. And he's not clear how to build the universe. And second is he is self-inquisitive. Not just what he has to do, it's who am I? And where did I come from? Some fundamental questions that most people that have some important service to do, they don't slow down and ask those two questions. Where did I come from and who am I? So he asked those two questions along with searching for the answer of how he's to build the universe. That's how chapter 9 begins. And he's very intelligent. You're going to build the universe, you have to be really intelligent. And his inquisitiveness, as you see from the painting, there's this splashing below the lotus. He hears the sound of the ocean, some water, splashing water. And he reasons intuitively, if I climb down the stem, I'm likely to find out where I came from. Very reasonable. So he starts to climb down the stem and climbs down the stem and climbs down the stem and climbs down the stem, and he can't find an end to the stem. So that wasn't a good solution. Climbing down the stem to find out where he came from wasn't a good solution. And then he hears the syllables tapa 3 times. And hearing those just tapa 3 times, he knows what that means. And what that means is he is supposed to do tapasya. That doesn't say what tapasya, but tapasya. So he climbs back up the stem, sits on the lotus, and there are 2 versions. There's the Brahma Samhita version and the Bhagavatam version. The Bhagavatam version, Canto 1, Chapter 1, verse number 5, I think it is. There's a statement that he, Lord Brahma, was initiated from within his heart. Because what is there? There's darkness in all directions. Nothing. Nobody splashing of water beneath, but nothing. So the second explanation is, as he's preparing himself to perform tapa or tapasya, the Saraswati, because there's not his wife Saraswati or the goddess of learning Saraswati, it's the primordial internal potency Saraswati, gives him a mantra. Now maybe that was done through his heart, doesn't specify, but Saraswati gives him a mantra, same mantra that we receive, same mantra that Gopakumar received. It's the Gopal mantra, or Madan Gopal mantra. And he starts chanting non-stop. I mean, it's a long time to do anything. There was no prasadam. Nothing. And now this is from Brahma Samhita. This, what I'm just describing, is not Bhagavatam, but the narration parallels, but not all the verses that exist are in the Bhagavatam. So the Brahma Samhita says, he separately, as the painting shows, he heard the language of Brahma Samhita, the flute song of Krishna. And the flute song of Krishna entered his ear. And then from his ear, that sound came out his mouth. And from his mouth, he chanted the next mantra, what we know as Kama Gayatri mantra. And those two mantras he chanted for the remainder of that 100 celestial years. And then something very amazing happened. Light went on. There was no light, but Lord Vishnu appeared before him, surrounded by this potency, that potency, there's so many potencies. And many other nice things happened. So he then, Lord Brahma presents 4 questions. We'll see what those 4 questions are in a moment in earlier verses of this chapter. And then in this verse, text 31, there's a statement Shukadeva Goswami is narrating that says the Lord is making a promise to Brahma that he's going to shortly answer one by one those 4 questions. So now, here's the verse, text 31. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Jnanam Paramaguhyam Me Yad Vijnana Samanvitam Sarahasyam Tadangam Cha Gana Gaditam Maya. And the translation is, the personality of Godhead said, no. Knowledge about me, as described in the scriptures, of course there's no scriptures yet, but they're eternal. It's very confidential. That's this sa rahasyam. Sa rahasyam, very confidential. And it has to be realized in conjunction with devotional service. The necessary paraphernalia for that process is being explained by me. You may take it up carefully. Know that the cleansing of the heart, the Chaita, Darpana, Marjanam, has been experienced by Lord Brahma. And he is now able to hear the Lord and see and converse with the personality of Godhead face to face. And it's not a dream, it's face to face. It's the personality of Godhead makes himself visible. He can manifest and make himself not visible as he wishes. So I'm going to read the purport. Lord Brahma is the topmost devotee of the Lord within the universe, and therefore the personality of Godhead replied to his 4 principal inquiries in 4 important statements, which are known as the original Bhagavatam in 4 verses. So, not specifically identified this way, but as we know, Lord Brahma, Vyasadeva compiled the Vedas, and in compiling the Vedas, he also compiled the Puranas, And he also compiled amongst the Puranas the Bhagavad Purana. So the implication is the Bhagavad Purana was much shorter than 18,000 verses. It was 4. And within those 4 is the essence, and then 4 expanded into 18,000. According to other descriptions, that's what's on the earthly planet, and there's 1 billion verses in the heavenly planet. So if you want to read a longer Bhagavatam, you have to go to heaven to read a longer version. But the essence is in these 4. These were Brahma's questions. 1. What are the forms of the Lord, both in matter and in transcendence? So Ham Evas and Eva, great. That verse 33 is the answer. Next, how are the different energies of the Lord working? You can see Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes these 4 questions a little differently, but essentially the same. His energies, forms of the Lord in matter and in transcendence, his energies, that's 2. How does the Lord play with his different energies? The interaction between his energies and himself. And 4, how may Brahma be instructed to discharge the duty entrusted him, how he's supposed to build the universe? The prelude to the answers is this verse under discussion, wherein the Lord informed Brahma that knowledge of himself, the supreme absolute truth, as it is stated in the revealed scriptures, is very subtle and cannot be understood unless one is self-realized by the grace of the Lord. The Lord says that Brahma may take the answers as he explains them. This means that transcendental knowledge of the absolute supreme being can be known if it is made known by the Lord himself. By the mental speculation of the great mundane thinkers, the absolute truth cannot be understood. The mental speculators can reach up to the standard of impersonal Brahman realization, but factually, complete knowledge of transcendence is beyond the knowledge of impersonal Brahman. Thus, it is called the supreme confidential wisdom. Out of many liberated souls, someone may be qualified to know the personality of Godhead in Bhagavad Gita. It is also said by the Lord himself that out of many hundreds of thousands of people, one may try for perfection in human life, and out of many liberated souls, one may know him as he is. Therefore, the knowledge of the personality of Godhead may be attained by devotional service only. We're all familiar with all that now. This rahasyam, it's rahasyam. Rahasyam means devotional service. Lord Krishna instructed Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita because he found Arjuna to be a devotee and a friend. Without such qualification, one cannot enter into the mystery. I called the title of this topic Mystery Disclosed. In case you want to know how to solve the mystery. Mystery Disclosed. Without such qualifications, one cannot enter into the mystery of the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, one cannot understand the personality of Godhead unless one becomes a devotee and discharges devotional service. Here we are again. This mystery is love of Godhead. In the biography about Bhaktisiddhanta's life, there's a nice, where there's a professor, if my memory is correct, it's usually not, Professor Suthers came because he heard about Bhaktisiddhanta, and he came without prior arrangement, and he just came to Bhaktisiddhanta's headquarters, Chaitanya Mat, Gaudiya Mat. Bhaktisiddhanta was engaged, so he said, I'm busy right now finishing something. If you don't mind, just go with where the devotees are. You can assist in some service, and then I'll be with you shortly. Doesn't say how long shortly was, but he went away to do what Bhaktisiddhanta said. And when Bhaktisiddhanta was finished, he called him, and then he asked the gentleman, "You come a long way. What were the questions?" I think he's from England. What were the questions that you had? He said, "I got answers to the questions just from doing the service." It doesn't say what the questions were, what the answers to the questions were. The medium, point is, it's a nice example, medium of receiving answers, not just information, but answers. The medium of devotional service. That's the mystery. And more specifically, devotional service in the stage of love of Godhead, which is prema. And that's a very high qualification. So to theoretically understand something is one level, which it's important, at least we hear, and get a basic understanding conceptually, but then to realize the concept, just like I did a little discussion yesterday, Bhaktisiddhanta said, it's not within our power to understand that the name and the person who bears the name are the same. Conceptually you can say, yes, I accept it, which is fine. But to realize it is more than fine. Bhaktisiddhanta, as we go, just refresh your memory, Bhaktisiddhanta went on to say the way that the name and the possessor of the name are identical can be realized through chanting the name. But one has to hear the name, not with the material ear, but with the spiritual ear. Exactly what that means. He doesn't say. He explains that the ear conquers the mind. So the mind is not an instrument that can understand transcendence. The material mind is not an instrument. The material ear is not an instrument. The material senses are not instruments. There's instruments, but not instruments that can understand transcendence. We can acknowledge it. That's what transcendence is. Blank transcendence is. This in relation to the holy name. Apinatvam nama namino. Apinatvam nama namino. The name and the object named are apina. Not the same. It's a nice concept. To actually realize the concept, it's not, the mind can't, it's inconceivable. Because what's conceivable is, the object is different than the name of the object. I can say water, and the quenching of thirst is not achieved by saying water, water, water over many times, because they're different, fundamentally different. But the name and the person, not just, everything. quality, form, activity, everything. So to realize that conceptually is one thing, and then realization is yet another thing. So he speaks of hear with the spiritual ear. So this is a little sharing. During our time together yesterday, I was meditating on what's that mean. I realized I can't understand what it means because he said you can't understand what it means by your material apparatus. So how do you get to the spiritual ear? How you get to the spiritual ear is, Patanjali Muni said, or Rupa Goswami said, the Hari Bhakti Vilas verses we quoted said, it's where, or Dhyana Chandra Goswami, where the mantra and the mind, mantra is fully immersed in the mind is fully immersed in the mantra. So how do you get that? You have to hear. So when you hear Dirgha Kala over an extended period of time, then the power of the mantra can be heard, or say it negatively, without that focus of hearing, because the ear conquers the mind. The ear can conquer the mind, and to the mind you can't get a realization of what's inconceivable. It remains inconceivable. I think you can acknowledge it, nod your head yes, check the box and get an A in your Bhakti Shastri exam, but to realize it is another thing. So hearing. So this is the message of this verse that we heard yesterday. Is why I picked this verse and purport. When there's uninterruptedly, easier said than done, but uninterruptedly hearing, then the ear conquers the mind. And the mind becomes then inert. And the senses become inert because they're conquered by the ear, by hearing. And that's hearing with the spiritual ear. I shared this, and I'm going to do it again because it's an appreciation. It's very simple. It's a sunny day. And even if the sun is above the clouds, the sun's energy, it's very simple. The sun's energy is two, heat and light. Where it's like fire. Wherever there's fire, there's heat and light. Where there's heat, there's fire. Where there's light, there's fire. Where there's heat and light, there's fire. Heat and light are inseparable from fire, or from the sun. But the heat of the sun and where we are in Naperville, it's quite different temperature. But heat and light are properties. Is it possible to make that and light of the sun burn? Absolutely. Here's an experiment. Maybe you did this when you were kids. You can have your kids do it. Because one of the places I was at recently, the kids heard me say it 3 times, so they were playing with a magnifying glass. And you hold the magnifying glass at a certain angle and a certain height above something that's combustible, something that's it can burn, paper or wood or your arm. It's combustible. The soul isn't, but the body is. And it burns. So there's the light of the sun, it's fire. And if you focus it, it's fire. But unfocused, it's not fire. but it's fire. Same. Namabas is pure, because the name is pure, but our experience is Abbas. So if you stay with, you do like what Lord Brahma did, or do like we tried to do yesterday, stay focused, like the magnifying glass and taking the heat and light of the sun, make it very focused. Then it's not just what we're accustomed to, it's being able to hear with the spiritual ear. You know, the covering is burned or transcended. The non-difference of the name and the person named, the name of the person and the person, they're the same. The all-powerful personality of Godhead. When that is experienced, remember the rest of what we read, Bhaktisiddhanta said. Bhava follows and prema follows bhava. So we're not there yet. Most of us aren't there yet. But that's how you get there. And that's the hearing with the spiritual ear that results in love of God. So that's what Lord Brahma experienced. Let's continue with the purport. And to attain the stage of transcendental love of God, regulated principles of devotional service must be followed. The regulated principles are called Vidhi Bhakti, or the devotional service of the Lord, and they can be practiced by a neophyte with his present senses. Such regulated principles are mainly based on hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, and such hearing and chanting of the glories of the Lord can be made possible in the association of devotees only. Lord Chaitanya therefore recommended 5 main principles for attaining perfection in devotional service. Association with devotees, parentheses, hearing. Chanting the glories of the Lord. Hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from the pure devotee, residing in a holy place connected with the Lord, worshipping the deity of the Lord with devotion. Such rules and regulations are parts of devotional service. So, as requested by Lord Brahma, the personality of Godhead will explain all about the 4 questions put forward by Brahma, and others also, which are parts and parcels of the same questions. So now how all of this works, it's a mystery, and then the mystery is devotional service, and even more specifically, devotional service in the mature stages, prema. Here's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's parts of it. Prema is well known as rahasya. So it's not just bhakti or rishikena rishikesha sevanam, but it's prema. I will explain, he's now paraphrasing Krishna's words. I will explain what is intimate, rahasyam, prema bhakti. Realize prema bhakti, which is accomplished by that knowledge of my form. So it's sa in the verse, it's sa rahasyam. So he, the personality of Godhead, is going to reveal his form, sa. But the real revelation of his form, he's already seeing his form, but the seeing of his form has been made possible because the Lord revealed his form. The Lord revealed his form because he became purified. And in this purified state, there's no obstruction anymore. When there's obstruction, we can't see. When the obstruction is removed, of course, the Lord isn't obliged. The Lord isn't obliged one more time. The Lord isn't obliged. He may not show his form. But it's the mercy comes into one who's had their spiritual ear engaged in the process of hearing. That means sustained, dirgha kala, sustained over time, as Brahma did, as we may do. So there's for us, like Prabhupada with those nice quotes, 16 is minimum. And when there are opportunities for increasing, that's like not a rule. Chanting the name once is very powerful. Or like I expressed, Prabhupada explaining this Harinam Sankirtan, that how he started in the storefront of 2nd Avenue and then went into the public with chanting and dancing. And there was no drum, there was no prasadam, wasn't all the bells and whistles and all the nice things that make the process of bhakti very attractive. All there was chanting, but the chanting from the lips of a pure devotee. It had great power. I remember one time Srila Prabhupada was speaking in a place in India, and because of the audience, he decided to speak in Hindi instead of in English. And as he was speaking in Hindi instead of English, the Western sannyasis sitting on the stage with Prabhupada were looking at each other and decided to get up and leave because they couldn't understand. And Prabhupada stopped speaking in Hindi, spoke in English, he said, stay. Even if you don't understand, the sound vibration is purifying. And then the flip, he was just heard a lecture, Prabhupada, 7th chapter, verse number 1, Bhagavad Gita. He's in Bhubaneswar, and he's speaking in English. And you can hear in the background, there's a lot of jibber jabber. People weren't paying attention because they couldn't understand English. And then Prabhupada said it in English. That's how I could understand it. He said, let them just sit down, even if they don't understand English. The vibration is purifying. So the comprehension of getting your mind and your the coverings oriented in such a way that, okay, at least conceptually I can understand what's being said, although I haven't realized it. That's a beginning. The beginning. The beginning. I'm pausing because yesterday I had the opportunity, day before yesterday, I had the opportunity to address some youth. And I was told in the course of that exchange that many of the things that I said, Mukunda said the day before I spoke. I mean, I was just asking questions. That's how it started. The question was, do any of you here have an idea why there's a lot of interest in kirtan amongst the youth and not so much interest in japa? Any ideas? I mean, your approach was different with this. How do I start? And then the first answer was music. I like music. Okay. Have you thought about japa? No. I mean, immediate. No. It wasn't like I was insulting him or he was insulting me. It was just, he was just being honest. I haven't even thought about it. So what is it about kirtan? Music. That's what was at the start. But it's kirtan. So there may be layers and layers and layers and layers, but it's kirtan. It's the holy name. And so slow. Something's going to happen. Abbas. Shadow or reflection. Abbas. Fine. It's fine. It's fine. And I won't go, there were two more like that. There was something else and something else. No, I've never even thought about chanting. Not like I have an aversion. I've never even thought about it. I like kirtan. Haven't even thought about chanting. Job. So there's stages. So the beginning is the beginning. It's fine. You got to begin somewhere. So if people begin somewhere, that's fine. Then go, it'll happen of its own accord. What to speak of if there's sadhu sangha to help it go, maybe a little more swiftly than if there wasn't sadhu sangha. People in the kirtan that actually have an attraction for the name, not just an attraction for music, or etc., etc., etc. So I don't want to belabor the point, but there are stages in bhakti. There's stages, and when one is sincere is the word, a word that Prabhupada would use all the time. And what does sincere mean? When Prabhupada was asked, what does sincere mean? Prabhupada's answer, everybody knows what sincere means. What's his answer? You really want to know. Inquisitive. Jigyasu, I want to know. Not just cosmetic, I want to know. I want to experience who I really am. I want to experience who Krishna really is. I want to experience truth with a capital T rather than illusion. I want to, and sincerely, not just socially. That was another one of the answers. Social. I like kirtan because it's the social buzz. Okay. But there's kirtan. So when one is sincere, then the bhakti process becomes more effective. Abbas becomes less shadowy and more real, proportionate to one's sincerity of the application of the process, and then sustaining it over time. Like, if you're holding a magnifying glass, it's not just having the magnifying glass. You have to hold your hand steady. And then it'll burn. To chant effectively, the process of bhakti effectively, stay with it. And stay specifically with chanting. It's the ear. And then the wandering mind, etc., can be comforted. It works. The power of the name can be then experienced, and then progressively, bhava and prema. That's the sarahasya. It's the mystery. Okay. That's the topic I wanted to share this morning, following our 64 round day. Let's see if there's some discussion.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the very inspiring and deep class. Um, on one hand, like you were saying, it happens and it happens gradually. On the other hand, sometimes uh, we may feel it's too gradual, or like there's a verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that you can go on chanting for many lifetimes and still not see the result. So, you mentioned that just even if we don't understand, if we hear it works, but why does the Chaitanya Charitamrita then warn us that it can take many lifetimes? It should then happen quickly, maybe, or more swiftly, if the vibration is there.
We can't hurry Krishna. You remember that one? So I'm not sure what you're making a comment, not so much asking a question.
Well, the question part is that that how do we resolve these two things? That on one hand it says it could take many, many lifetimes. On the other hand, the name's effect, even Namabhas, has such a powerful effect. So it seems as though it would act more quickly.
Well, we covered this a couple of times. So Abbas cleanses the power in Abbas is to cleanse away prarabdha karma. Like when the sun rises, the darkness of night is dispelled, similarly. So there's light, and it's not dark anymore when there's light. But to get the full effect, so it can be Abbas for many lifetimes. But the full effect is when there's sincerity and there's application in the ways that are indicated how the sincere person can apply. I mean, that's what we were attempting to cover and discuss and, invite. So the sincere application of the principle. That's how it reconciles. For me, it reconciles. Does that reconcile for you or no?
Yes, Maharaj. I remember you saying that the abhas includes the endeavor of trying to keep.
Yes. Yes.
So maybe it's stagnant when endeavor is not there. It just we're not trying.
It's like, how does bhakti begin? That's a nice question. It's a question that comes in the first chapter, the first shower in Madhurya Kandambani. How does bhakti begin? He raises the question. And then he looks at, 10 different possible answers. Maybe. And the conclusion is, citing verses from the Bhagavatam, it's yadrichaya. Yadrichaya means somehow or other, meaning there's no material cause. So if there's no material cause, then how do you go from Abbas to beyond Abbas? It's sadhu sangha. Through sadhu, that which is beyond where you are right now, you can get light beyond where you are now and go into its more light. Association, taken the right way, can carry you to a higher consciousness place, to the sadhu place, by sadhu sangha. But then sadhu sangha doesn't mean just hanging out. It means you receive and then you perform. You carry. So that's the cultivation part of bhakti. But you have to have the transmitters you have, and the receiver is on. And then one can go beyond Abbas. It's not mechanical, but one can go beyond Abbas by descending mercy. And yeah. Where's Premanand? Is Premanand there? It's here, there. Can I share this story about the squirrel? It's okay? Okay. Yesterday, the last couple of days, she shared, following the 64-round day, she likes to chant is there's a tree in her yard. She sits in a tree in her yard and chants. So, day before yesterday or whenever, she was sitting there chanting, and a squirrel came that appeared to be damaged, limping or broken or something, Then he just sat there hearing her chanting, like, help, something like that. And she just kept chanting. And then some time passed. Later, her husband was sitting under the same tree. The same squirrel came, limping and, about to die. And while he was chanting, the squirrel died, hearing chanting. Now, her question was, how did that happen? And my answer was, Yadrich China. No, there's Super Soul had something to do with prompting the squirrel to hang out and leave his body when chanting. But you know what the result is? Guaranteed. The result. How did that happen? But it's just descending mercy. You can't create it. You can't tie up all the squirrels, put them on a chain, and sit in front of you while you're chanting japa. They're going to run the other way. But somehow that guy just... So, Yandrishya, he's got a long way to go to get to Prema Bhakti, but that's okay. There's a beginning. So by receiving the beneficial effect of the sound of the holy name, it's going to act, guaranteed, even in a squirrel or any other form of life. So when we're in the human form of life, we have more developed consciousness, and we can hear and understand instructions and act on those instructions through sadhusanga, go a little further from abhas to shuddha. You don't have to. Not a guaranteed anything. That's real. But if we have on our side the eagerness for being connected from our side, and he can respond however he likes. And he will, but in his own sweet will and in his own way. And where did that idea come from for us to wish to have that connection? Sadhu Sangha. And you grow it further, Sadhu Sangha and Sadhu Sangha. But, not just hang out, receive and establish that connection through that representative of Krishna. And act in that relationship with that representative of Krishna, which is, in effect, your relationship with Krishna, or enhancing your relationship with Krishna. Anything else? Yes?
I just wanted to share a reflection. When you were speaking about accessing the spiritual ear, and you were speaking to the mystery of it,
Yes.
the fact that there may be some explanation of how to get there to a certain degree, but ultimately it's not like you do X, Y, Z, and
Yeah.
it happens.
Right.
And I really appreciated that point, because it made me think about how it seemed, and also in connection with my question from the other day, it seems like the key is almost to
learn to appreciate the mystery of Krishna consciousness, like in itself, and just to embrace the fact that we can't, capture it from our own faculties necessarily. And if we are able to live in peace with that, then it's almost like it can take us forward. So I just wanted to share that reflection.
Well, I really like that statement that Bhaktisiddhanta made. That in the last paragraph of that letter, he said, there's no need to practice meditation upon the Ashtakaliya Leela. It will happen. The spiritual world opens. So one can try to enter the spiritual world by practicing. But the practice is descent of mercy. Start the process of hearing. Hearing name or the qualities and pastimes, etc. Hearing Srimad Bhagavatam with the spiritual ear. So then, and how does that work? That's the mystery. And it says fine. It works. Proportionate to one's sincerity. It works. The essence is relationship. It starts with information, and then there's becoming fixed in that knowledge or information. But then there's the descending mercy, because there's ascending mercy even to hear the descriptions. So then there's the appreciation, but then comes the realization. I mean, as you were speaking, I was thinking of, there's some really nice pastimes that I'm going to be sharing with the Chinese devotees tomorrow morning, when we enter into Madhava Mahotsava. And it's Jiva Goswami writing what Rupa Goswami told him to write. So the pastime of Srimati Radharani becoming crowned the queen of Braja is the pastime. So, in the course of narrating, the storyline is interrupted by the description of Krishna and what he looked like, how he's dressed, his smile, his history, his dealings with his associates. Then it goes back to the storyline. Then it comes to Radharani. And then there's this beautiful description. When we have the initiation lecture, I'm going to do the same thing. It's from that verse 56 from Sri Brahma Samhita, Shriya Kanta. So, the description of those verses is just beautiful. When you hear it, it's beautiful. It was circulated, wasn't it? PDF. Did anybody get it? Anybody not get it? Was it circulated? So somewhere in your phone. You don't, you can look at it later, but we're going to just be discussing it between 10 and 11 o'clock. It says, it's so true. Like, but we can't let go. This is interesting. So your question is it sufficient just to appreciate, even if it's not something that we're going to experience yet? However, by that gift given from Krishna, to hear these narrations of the beauty of Krishna, or the beauty of the spiritual world, this is not different than Krishna, etc., etc. The appreciation can lead to the heart softening and melting, entering into that experience.
Like to appreciate you always say
This was 40 minutes.
and also I'm so grateful to be here and to say that you're so fortunate to have
Very fortunate.
my question is earlier during this festival you were saying about self-centeredness.
Yeah.
And I sometimes wonder, as my body is aging, I just feel like more time, all these aches and pains and things like more time for maintenance for my mind. And maybe you can help me some few words about, and I feel sometimes guilty, but then I see the body limitations and I just cannot force it. Like, because of that, because of that.
There's songs about what you just said. Put it to music. There are different phases of life, and in each phase of life there's opportunity and challenge, and good fortune, ill fortune. Is just, and at some point in time, this body and your body and all of our bodies are going to be they're going to be back to dust. So, given the circumstance of that you're passing through now, that has the elements that you described, consciousness isn't created or checked by the circumstances. You have to accept your age and your spirit. You have advantages that the younger generation people don't have. So you have a service you can receive and you can give in ways that they don't have the same capacity. So you do that, which is suited to your circumstance. And meanwhile, the focus is not just the service, but most important is that Krishna should be pleased. So you tolerate and you receive and you give. Because let's give it to you. And just smile and accept it. You probably know some people, I know some people, that their physical circumstance is such that it's extreme. And that is, and so it is what it is for them. It's just extreme. They're really restricted by the circumstance. So count your blessings. And they can count theirs. Because it is what it is. But consciousness isn't created or inhibited by circumstance. That's a, it, acceptance of the circumstance, and then with the circumstance that Krishna has bestowed upon you at this stage of life or at this particular period of time. The relationship with Krishna is not created or impeded. There's where your attention should go. Someone else right next to you. Oh, by the way, I wanted to comment on the first thing. Once upon a time, there wasn't this temple. Once upon a time, there was just some handful of devotees out there somewhere, further away from here, this place. And it was just home gatherings. And then. So I give credit to the community because I go many places and the same thing doesn't happen. That's what happens. So it's the receptivity and the enthusiasm and sincerity of the individuals that have made. And it's ongoing. It's not like done. That's Premananda. For example, raise the funds to keep the wheels turning. It's not a piece of cake. I did one more sharing. In Houston, the monthly overhead in Houston is almost double what it is here. So you know what it is here. Double it. And that's Houston. And to build Houston, it took decades. And to maintain it. It's a really good community. And at the center of the good community is the deities. The worshippers of the deities. So those devotees here that are doing deity worship, you're helping to maintain and sustain the community. I'm just speaking in response to
So when we wait for
when we do what?
when we wait for the mercy to descend, we should have agreed that it would.
Yeah.
At the same time,
Patience.
Patience, and I see internal peace sometimes, not peaceful. So
You feel internal peace but not peaceful.
no, I don't feel that internal.
Don't feel.
So how do we should have agreed at the same time?
Just have a conversation with Premananda. She just gave the answer. It's a consciousness situation. To turn your attention towards Krishna. And it's the same thing, same thing. Just, what Krishna wants to do with you, that's fine. I'm not going to change my position. Unless Krishna does this or Krishna does that with me, otherwise, so just, you have a relationship. Or it's like Badahari and Kirtan. He has a relationship with the Holy Name. I mean, he didn't say that. I can see that. So whether it's this or whether it's that, in the essence of that relationship with Krishna, in whatever form, it can be the Bhagavatam, it can be the deity, it can be the name, it can be combination, could be serving the Vaishnavas, could be any one of those things in combination. But your connection with Krishna, your relationship with Krishna, you just take shelter there. If you don't take shelter there, then you remain unpeaceful. Because outside is turbulent. question. River has waves and sometimes it's less wind. But there's always waves. You can name people even when it's warm. Again, using this word relationship. It's sensitive. It's the hurricane. I mean, you may have to do it. Stuff going on here. Speak slowly, please.
The other thing I wanted to share that what helps me to keep chanting is like I noticed that if I fall asleep, it's like
Speak slowly.
if I fall asleep thinking something, like what bothers me, I kind of tend to wake up with a similar thought. So I decided to use that quality of my mind to chant before I fall asleep. And it became much easier to keep my rounds and do while chanting.
Say it again. Okay.
So my question
Not
is,
exactly I said that, but that's okay. It's true.
yeah,
Go ahead.
so, such like, and I know that this when we offer service to Guru and Vaishnava, it should be pleasing to the Guru and Vaishnava. But if I feel like if I am doing something and it is not up to the mark, then what steps should I take to course correct myself and move in the positive direction and learn the lesson and make the course correction? And
This is the how-to question again. Here's my flashcard. And abhyasa. So you're introspective. You see what you just described. It's not up to the mark. Okay. Now, who are persons who I can learn from by their achar and prachar that is better up to the mark than me? It's sadhusanga. And then associate with them, hear from them, try to apply their understandings that they're giving you, and then you repeat. So that's the abhyasa part. Knowing that even when you do it the next time and the next time, it's still going to be not at the mark. But it's the same response as Gopal Hari's question. I want to go. I'm in the shadow place. I want to go to the pure place.
Because consciousness will enable, but my consciousness is in the shadowy stage. So I want to go beyond, and it takes the association of elevated souls, more elevated than me at least, and hear and serve, repeat, abhyasa. That answer is the same answer as Patanjali Muni's description of how abhyasa becomes fixed. Remember that definition? So,
Shatarupa Mataji, who sponsored Saturday's breakfast and dinner. Sandhya Mataji, who sponsored Sunday's breakfast. Chaitanya Rasa Prabhu and Rangadevi Mataji for sponsoring Sunday's breakfast. Are they here? Chaitanya Rasa Prabhu? They're at the retreat, but looks like they're not here right now. And also Divya Ananda Prabhu and Srimati Kishori Mataji. Please come forward for sponsoring Sunday's breakfast. They're here at the retreat for the first time from Alachua, but they've become part of our family, so we don't want you to leave now. And also want to recognize devotees that can't be here right now, but they sponsored. We have Prahlad Priya Prabhu and Padmavati Mataji, Sachikumar Prabhu and Prematarani Mataji. We're missing your presence here. And Raghunandan Prabhu and Jayanti Mataji as well, hoping that you'll be with us next year for this retreat. So let us invoke the deity's blessings upon these families by together chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Breakfast downstairs at 9, initiations at 10. Hare Bol.